I wasn't that surprised. You said you were a little bit surprised to see squatting and migration linked together. I've always thought of those things as very much.
I'm not a migration scholar.
Actually, for my second book, the book that just came out last year, for a while the introduction of that book started with, in Honolulu we have a very large houseless population, and there's a member of the State House of Representatives who would go around with a sledgehammer and smash the shopping carts that homeless people would use to move their goods around, right? So literally taking violence to these people who are moving around and are not monitored by the state. But a lot of scholars have argued for a long time that I think both of these books also are a little bit presentist, and in a good way, right? They're so up to date on what's happening right now, particularly Pier Paolo's book. Is that right? Pier Paolo? Is that good?
Pierre.
Right? I tried. But I would say that there's even a longer history to this, and I wrote down a couple of quotes from some scholars that kind of make this much longer term history of it, and I think that they would suggest that it's not really just the right or in the U.S., but really it's the state that's the problem, and the state that has had this long conflict with people who move around. So I'm specifically thinking of James C. Scott, who comes from an anarchist position. He starts his 1998 book by saying that nomads, pastoralists, hunter-gatherers, gypsies, vagrants, homeless people, itinerants, runaway slaves, and serfs have always been a thorn in the side of states. Efforts to permanently settle these mobile populations seem to be a perennial state project, perennial in part because it always fails. And then another scholar that makes kind of a similar point is Thomas Nail, who's a philosopher at the University of Denver. He's written a couple of really great books over the last few years. He has a book called Theory of the Border that just came out, but he has another one called Figure of the Migrant that's really good. But he says something somewhat similar. So he says, what defines the nomad, the barbarian, the vagabond, and the proletariat as migrant subjects is the sense in which these figures are displaced and made mobile in its own way and with respect to its own relative points of expulsion. So both of those scholars, and also in my work, I think that there's this really long-term history of people in positions of privilege and positions of power using movement restrictions to contain other people, to locate them, to make them legible, to allow them to be governed, right? And people who move around, whether it's people who are squatting or it's people who are migrating, people on the move, that is difficult for the state to regulate and monitor. And so it's always a threat to the way that state power has